HorseRacingNation.com, I'm Joe DePaolo, welcoming you to the launch of Fast Times at Belmont Park. Yes, a movie-inspired title for our new page, and gentlemen, great, hoping to see plenty of those fast times from two-year-olds in particular at Belmont Park, and we'll get to that in just a moment. Is NYRA President and CEO Charles Hayward. Thank you very much for graciously giving us a few minutes of your time.
Hey Joe, great to see you.
Very
welcome to Belmont. It's great to be here, I'll tell you that.
It is, you know, we caught another gorgeous day, and 6,000 on opening day yesterday. How about that?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, you know, we had a long winter at Aqueduct, and despite some short fields and less than wonderful quality, it was a very good meet for us. We were worried about OTB closing, and we got a lot of people out to the tracks, almost 50% increase in attendance, as you know, and we're hoping that we'll have a similar success here. And as you know, some of your you know, fans and viewers probably know, we're open at Aqueduct for simulcasting for the first time since we've opened here at Belmont. So we'll have a good day here, hopefully, and a good day over at Aqueduct.
What have you learned about your customer in the last 4 months? Be it, you know, you've rolled out a number of promotional initiatives. Be it you ran a shuttle bus service from the shuttered New York City OTB parlors. You've done a number of things to reach out for your customers. The ADW platform, NYRA Awards, has seen tremendous growth. What has all of this data told you about your customers over the past few months?
A couple of things. One is the customers, the additional customers came from the city, presumably. They'd increase the attendance 50%. They had a couple of characteristics. One is they bet on simulcast races, the incoming simulcast, much more aggressively than a regular, you know, NYRA customer at the track did. So our wagering on simulcast was up almost 100%. And that figures. You figure an OTB customer probably is going to shop and be selective. In the case of New York City OTB, we generally were about, you know, 40% of their total handle for thoroughbreds, and the other 60 was at simulcast. So number one, we got more simulcast players than we had in the hardcore on-track fan. Number two, our per cap, I would have thought was going to go down, but what we ended up getting, I think, out to the track were, you know, the more motivated, the more serious OTB players. So our per cap actually increased a little bit at Aqueduct.
Well, they were committed, as
right.
opposed to, you know, it being on the corner and you go in for a race. Right. They're here for the card now.
Right.
You know,
so they came to play, and the interesting thing, though, in contrast to that, as you pointed out, we from the time that OTB closed on December 7th through the end of the Aqueduct Meet, we'd opened over 7,000 new NYRA Awards customers. And the interesting thing there, and what really ended up in the decision to outsource the phone wagering, is that we had a huge increase in the phone wagers. Just to give you some perspective, through the first 3 months last year, in terms of total number of bets that were made, we did about 91,000 in 2010. In 2011, over that same 3-month time period, we did 440,000. So we were almost 5 times as many wagers. Now the interesting thing here is, you know, the New York City OTB customer didn't have to get on a bus, a car, or a subway to come. They could just sit in their home and make the bets. So our average amount wagered per call before OTB closed was somewhere around $40. And now that amount is almost cut in half. It's somewhere in the low 20s. So we're getting a lot more OTB customers, but we're getting, you know, a lot less volume per call. We're still happy to get the business. But that means, you know, on an average day, instead of getting 1,000 calls, we're getting, you know, 5,000 calls. And on Wood Memorial Day, I think we had 10,620 calls. So we just could not handle the volume in the phone room. So we made a decision, a determination to outsource that, and we're now, we did a deal with Churchill Downs and US Off Track, which is based in Oregon, which is where a lot of the phone rooms for the thoroughbred racing industry are. And starting last Tuesday, we've been operating our phone operation, you know, through there, and so far it's going very well. We've got a number of calls from customers thanking us because they're, you know, these are a a workforce that's very well trained in phone, which we, because of the work rules of our contract, we weren't able to do.
But it's based in Oregon.
Yep.
And Governor Andrew Cuomo wrote an open letter to you as a result of this, fielding complaints from union workers that jobs were leaving the state. And I know that you responded to him. Could you summarize your response to the governor?
Yeah, number one, when we first talked to the union about this some time ago, they acknowledge we have an unusual situation in that we don't have the ability to train and secure a phone operator. We have to go to one mutual pool, and those people bid on where they want to go, what windows they want to do, and it's all based on seniority. Unfortunately, there's 5 or 6 of our phone operators that really like being in the phone room, but most of the mutual clerks like to be in the windows. They want to talk to the customers, get tips, whatever they do. So we have increased our union employees on track by about 50% in terms of mutual clerks. And so what happens is most of the clerks don't want to go into the phone room, so we've ended up with the most junior, the least trained, and we don't have the ability under the rules to be able to train those folks. So the union themselves admitted this was not work that they were particularly crazy about doing. And we had hired a bunch of extras, sort of day rate people that are non-union members. So what happens, roughly on an average day we have about 25 people in the phone room. They're now all going to go out to the windows. We're not eliminating any jobs. We're going to eliminate some part-timers, but any union member that has a job is going to continue to have a job. And this will allow us to handle, for example, the volume on the Kentucky Derby. Last year New York City OTB did $10 million just on Derby Day alone. So,
well, I was going to ask about that because I'm sure you have to be prepared for not only at the call centers but out here at the track. There are a lot of folks out there that it hasn't dawned on. This is probably the first time they're going to be inclined to make a bet
right.
on a race. Since the OTB parlors have shuttered, and it just hasn't occurred to them that they have to come here or they have to go to Aqueduct. How will you be promoting that over the course of the next week?
Well, it's interesting. We had an hour-long meeting this morning to go over. We met with security, parking, marketing, PR, and mutuals. In both cases, on both Oaks Day, which is Friday, and Derby Day, which is Saturday. First race at Churchill goes off at 10:30. So we want to make sure that we're open, that we have some live tellers here on both of those days, and we are going to be promoting in the Post and the Daily News. We're going to be on FAN, ESPN, 10:30, which is the local ESPN radio network. We're also going to be on their homepage for a couple of days, and telling people, come out, watch the Derby at Belmont, but also come out to Aqueduct, because it's, again, the first time that Aqueduct will be open while Belmont Park's open. So we're working on the press angle. We'll put it on our Facebook page. We now have, Channel 71. We took over the in-home. We do dark day shows now, so we'll be promoting the Derby, in-home to the people in the city on, Monday and Tuesday, which is, race day that we do now. And so we're hopefully getting the word out. We'll have plenty of tellers and plenty of service available. So, and we think it'll be big. And again, last year we lost the Long Island Railroad service out to Belmont, so we reinstituted that. So, we're looking forward to a big day next Saturday.
Yeah, if we catch some nice weather like we have this weekend, you potentially, I hate to throw a number out there, but all right, 50,000, I think. It could feel like a Triple Crown day, like a Belmont Stakes day, light almost here. I really do have that feeling. I'm sure you wouldn't be so daring as to come out and say something like that, but I'm sure you must share the optimism. And to that end, you continue to roll out the promotional initiatives. Talk a little bit about the Heritage Club, which it seems like a direct response to we've built a couple of new stadiums around here with Citi Field and new Yankee Stadium, so that the fan is kind of getting used to having some more upscale food and beverage options, and it seems like your answer to that.
Yeah, we had a food court here on the 3rd floor. which was pretty serviceable, but it wasn't, I would say, race and customer friendly. There were no TVs in there because we didn't want people to go in and sit down and watch the races, and it wasn't really a bar area. So we have, redone that whole area, themed it with the various food stations, and most importantly, there's a nice bar there. We put in a lot of tabletops where you can go in and both either sit at the bar or stand at the tabletops. We've got, I think, probably a half a dozen flat screens in there where you can actually watch the races. We're excited about that, and we've still got our Belmont Cafe, which is the simulcast center that we launched back in December, because again, Belmont had never been open when Aqueduct was running, and that was hugely successful. We had, just to give you an idea, back on Wood Memorial Day, we had over 900 people here that bet, I think, about $560,000. So we had a per cap on that day of over $400 a person, which is, probably 2.5 times what our regular, per cap is at a track.
Yeah, that's in addition, of course, to the 12,000 you had on track. So that was a wildly successful day, and that Heritage Court, I had a chance to sample it. It's everything you say it is. It's really nice, and I had a chance to try something called the BBQ Brisket Burger. Have you seen this thing yet?
No, I haven't. I was up there yesterday, had a burger, but I didn't.
This thing's a cardiologist's nightmare. It is. They piled about this much brisket, I'd say, on top of a giant, at least a third of a pound hamburger, smother it in barbecue sauce. I mean, a cardiologist's got to look at this thing and go, what are you guys doing? But to that end, it is quite, maybe not stomach friendly, but or heart friendly, but it is taste bud friendly. It was pretty appetizing. So yeah, some great stuff for the folks on track, and the product they're going to be seeing is you hope going to be bolstered by some purse increases in the 2-year-old maiden special weight ranks, where all races, both state bred and open company, are going to be contested for $60,000. What was what led you to believe that this was the best appropriation of those purse monies?
Well, we've been through a pretty tough Aqueduct Meet. We had our number of horses available in the horse inventory. Normally between Belmont and Aqueduct we have 2,200 horses. We only had about 1,500 this year, and that was largely due to the purses, something to do with the weather. I think the good news is the industry in general is starting to come back. I think if you look at what Gulfstream and Tampa and Fairgrounds and even Oaklawn, they all had very good meets. So we went back and looked at our 2-year-old program for the entire year. We did stats on every 2-year-old race we ran. We discovered that we only had 15 2-year-old races during the Belmont Spring Meet. The average field size was only 6. And if you get to those great 2-year-old stakes at Saratoga, our average field size there was 6. And some of these great stakes, Saratoga Special, even the Hopeful, look more like non-winners of 1 or non-winners of 2 than they look like a graded stakes, and that's because our 2-year-old program was starting later and later and later. If you go back 10 years ago, we had the Flash and another 2-year-old filly race in June, and then we had some 2-year-old stakes races in July. So we've made an effort to bring some 2-year-old graded stakes over what we're going to call the Belmont Summer Racing Festival over the 4th of July weekend. And we decided that we were going to card a 2-year-old colt and filly race and possibly state-bred race every week. And throughout the meet, we take the purses. Purse structure here will be the same as it was last year, except in the 2-year-olds. We're going to move those from 50 to 60,000. We also have some outfits coming in here. Wesley Ward, for example, who's known for starting his 2-year-olds. So we thought that it would be helpful and beneficial both for the Belmont program to have more 2-year-old races, and more importantly, as we go into Saratoga, to have, our local people have had opportunities to break their maidens. Again, we didn't run one allowance race for 2-year-olds at Saratoga last year because there just weren't enough maidens that had won. So, it's something we're going to try. It's probably, we're not going to feel the full effect of it in 1 year. People will know next year that, NYRA's committing and we're going to make these 2-year-olds in the book, and then we're going to make the book races go.